Hello everyone, this is Yuri, and today I'm gonna show you how I created this loop. I came up with "Don't Undo My Bow Tie" just because I thought it sounded fun and I was curious about how I could take it to a visual form. So as many of you might know, in order to make a loop, the first frame and the last frame have to be identical. I started sketching some designs and putting some shots together in a storyboard. I then started creating the assets digitally. In the case of the type, I scrolled around checking out the fonts that were installed in my system and ended up choosing this font that resembles a 3D typography while it's just two 2D fonts stacked on top of the other. So if you write the same word in a font as in the other one, and you put one layer in front of the other, it gives the effect of it being a 3D layer or a 3D word. I thought I wanted a part of the loop to be the typography reacting to light, but after playing with the settings a bit, I realized I wasn't really happy with the way this was looking, so I ended up removing the 3D light. I grabbed a bow tie asset from Freepik, which is a free platform where you can find Illustrator files, simplified its shape in order to just keep the outline and fill, and brought it to After Effects using Overlord, which is a plugin I recommend to anyone working across Illustrator and After Effects. I then animated the bow tie falling from one side to the other, bouncing until it finds its center, and that's animated by tweaking the rotation property. In this particular case, I wasn't 100% sure how much I wanted it to bounce and to move across the size of the screen, so I opted to animate that using an expression. It's quite complex, so I won't go fully in depth here. After animating the bow tie layer, I used it as a matte in order to reveal the first written layer. I was happy with the way the bow tie with the text reveal was looking, so I made it a pre-composition. That means a composition within a composition. Making it a pre-comp allows you to place it in a new composition more than once. So in this particular example, I have it here where the loop ends, as well as here, located within the title when the loop begins. I thought this position looked cute. It looked like a bow tie in someone's hair. As you might remember, we need to make the first frame and the last frame the same so it can be a loopable GIF. I then nudged the position of the null to which these two pre-comps were connected in order to have the first frame in the loop look exactly like the last frame in it. This was a lengthy process where, by using the snapshot tool, I nudged and approximated its location until it looked fine to me. So far I've been working in a grayscale. That means I have no color just yet. I'm gonna use the CC toner effect in order to bring color to the loop. I wanted to have a color palette that made sense. That's why I used this handy resource called Coolors. This was my initial color palette. I wasn't really happy with the way the color palette was looking at this time, so I decided to generate a new one. Through CC Toner, I applied the new color palette to the project. I was liking the overall look, but it was still a bit plain to me, so I realized I wanted to include a drop shadow. The drop shadow looked great. I wanted to have a reflection or a highlight shown on the bow tie. I did this by duplicating the bow tie's shape, scaling it down, removing most of the notes in it and then masking the rest of the shape until it looked the way I wanted. Now I had to apply the music. In order for it to make sense in a loop, the first frame of the music had to match the last one as well. This was it. The animation was natural, the design was sexy, and it had the music I wanted. But after spending this amount of time in getting everything just right, it wouldn't make sense to leave it there. I now had the chance to add effects on top to create a changing animation throughout the loops. So I found inspiration in the music I had already included. I felt one go sounded like a more refined version of the melody, and the other one sounded a bit more outdated. I wanted to replicate that sensation on the second time it looped. Then I applied posterize. What posterize does is to divide the color gamut in sections or bands. The posterize effect divided the gradient into rings of color, grouping those sections of the screen that had similar values while the gradient transitioned from yellow to violet. On top of this, I applied a saturation effect through lumetri, where I converted the whole screen into good old school black and white. Lastly, I applied an offset effect. This is an effect I've recently heard of, and it became especially helpful on this occasion. Here's a short video by Jake in Motion where he explains how it works.
The offset effect is found under the distort category, and what this effect allows us to do is shift the contents of a layer around using this Shift Center 2 point control. So if I adjust the X value, my logo is basically just shifting around and then looping back. The contents within this are basically tiled and we're just shifting it around. So I can do that on the X and Y axis.
Now that I had my posterize, saturation, and offset effects ready, I keyframed their appearance within the loop in order to match the effect I was after. This was a lengthy process where I tested out different looks. Here's the finished loop again. Alrighty folks, this has been a breakdown of the Don't Undo My Bow Tie loop, and I hope you enjoyed it.